Hello, and welcome to the Slumber Party podcast.
Welcome, everybody. We've had quite a week.
We have.
We've had quite a hectic week. So I think we're bringing this podcast to you a day or two late, but you'll live.
You're fine.
You're fine. You'll survive. I know it's hard to live without us. So how we doing?
I'm okay. No, I'm good. Let's talk about what happened this last 8 days.
It was my engagement party this weekend.
Sure what?
It was my engagement party, and we had quite a time. It was also my first taste of like what having a wedding is going to be like, and how you're pulled in so many freaking directions, and everybody is asking you questions, and you have no time to like actually chill or anything. So I'm like, okay, I could prep for that. I got that mental note. Okay. But yeah, it was fantastic. So many people showed up. Some people did not show up. It's caused some family drama a little bit, but we're working through it. And yeah, it's been amazing.
I love that. Is that your light as a feather?
Oh, so let's just jump right into the light as a feather, stiff as a board, because we got a couple. My engagement party is definitely my light as a feather. I think like also just being with my fiance and having the best time, even though it was raining on my engagement party, I don't care. I see it as good luck. Oh,
it is good luck.
Here we go. Bruno wants to come join us. Look, he's going to fart again. I know. Yep. Okay. What's your light as a feather, Kat?
My light as a feather was going dress shopping with you.
Mm.
It was just such like a beautiful moment. And I cried. I didn't even know I had like all these feelings inside. But it was just beautiful. Like, hi, babe.
Bruno loves Kat.
He's all over me right now. Just watching you and just like envisioning and just, it's like I don't know what it is, but it's like, you're like a little sister to me. You know what I mean? So I just had this like proud moment. It was just beautiful.
That was such a good time for me. I felt really cherished just to be able to have like the majority of the bridesmaids there.
Yeah.
And also like we found a dress that I don't know if it was the one, but it definitely perked up every single ear.
Yeah.
Every single cell, every single follicle on my body where I was like, oh, I know the direction we have to go in.
Yeah.
Now I know exactly what I would do to that dress to change it. I know exactly what I want to do. And it was the first time that I was like, oh my God, wait, I feel like a bride. I looked back at those pictures. I was like, wait, I look like a freaking bride. Like,
you looked stunning.
It was amazing. We found this one dress, guys, that really just.
She looks like a princess.
It was good.
And this is also one of the regrets I had. Well, you remember, I had made a TikTok and like things I regret and things I would do again. And it was that I didn't go dress shopping. I tried on one dress and I was like, all right, whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
and I hate my wedding dress.
Which is insane to me because your wedding dress was stunning.
Thank you. But it's not what I actually wanted. I didn't know what I wanted. And I didn't want to, I also hate shopping. So I think like that was part of it. I didn't want to actually try things on.
Yeah.
And so I tried on one thing and I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, this is it. It's good to go.
I am going dress shopping again next week. Me and my mom we're going to, because they're having a sale, the place where you got your wedding dress.
Pronovia's.
That
is where I got my wedding dress.
We're going there because I saw one of the dresses we tried on last time.
Yeah.
It was that brand. I really liked it. I liked the embellishment.
Yeah.
So I also just like, they're having like a crazy sample sale.
Sample sales are the best.
Yeah, I won't fit into the samples, but I can go try them on. So we're going there this weekend. So that'll be fun. It'll be great.
Yeah.
It was a crazy time. I'm still recovering from the party. It was crazy.
Highly recommend trying, like, make every appointment that you can, try on all the dresses that you can. It is probably not my number one regret, but no, actually, it's my number one regret. It's my number one regret. Yeah.
Well, you guys could always throw another ginormous wedding and then I'll be there.
Well, we need new pictures, so.
Oh, God. So what's your stiff as a board?
Yeah, Bruno.
Like, exactly. Bruno is snuggling up to Kat right now, dude. He doesn't do this with just anybody. He doesn't.
We have the same stiff as a board.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah, so
what was mine? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I want to dive in a little bit.
Let's dive into this.
Yeah.
This. We're gonna get into our main topic of the podcast in a second.
Yeah.
But I think our stiff as a board is pretty warranted. For me, my stiff as a board is the hypocrisy of people that claim their religion so loudly. I have said to Kat multiple times, I think I've gotten closer to my spirituality or have become more spiritual in spite of people that are extremely hypocritical with their faith. I grew up Roman Catholic. All around me was just cultural Catholics. They didn't really carry out any of the teachings, and even those teachings were pretty hypocritical. I think right now with the state of the world that's happening, I've never seen so many people with crosses around their neck cheering for children and mothers to be ripped apart and separated. I come from a line of immigrants. We all do, unless you're a native. You are.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, we are
literally
we are
every
all
single
coming
person
from lines
here.
of immigrants. We just had the privilege of it happening during a different decade or a different time, or having lighter skin. If you don't like that, then this might not be the podcast for you. I'm sorry. We don't try to jump into politics too heavily because we want to make it light, but it's kind of impossible to have a conversation when these are legit conversations that Kat and I have on a daily basis. So we're doing is letting you in at this point. That's my stiff as a board.
We're letting you into the group chat.
We're letting you into the group chat, but I can't sit here and like, it's becoming embarrassing for me to say, I mean, it is to say like, oh yeah, I was raised Catholic, like, or like I'm getting married in a gorgeous cathedral church. Now I feel embarrassed about saying that to people. Because I'm like, all the people that also are so proud about that they've gotten married in a church are, waving Confederate flags and cheering. Oh yeah, Donald Trump is my savior. He's my savior. Look at him taking away all of these illegal human beings.
These 4-year-olds.
These 4-year-olds, yeah. I'm sorry, but when people are showing up to their legal appointments for their immigration court hearings and ICE is at the door, you're cheating whatever kind of system you think that you're implementing. They're doing it the legal way.
This is also not the system that was here even 20 years ago. Like I have a lot of Russian friends for some reason. It's a conspiracy. I think
New Yorkers. That's why there's mad Russians in New York.
They're after me. But one time I went through my phone and I was like, there's no reason why I have so many Russian friends. But most of my Russian friends came here like 90s to early 2000s. It was easy for them. My mom and her family came here in the 80s. My mom became a citizen in like a year and a half, 2 years. Like it was very easy. And then there's other people whose family came here in their 20s, 30s, where there was no process.
It was you walk in, you sign your name, you show up to a court case, and then you have a process.
That was it. Right. So I think there's just like, I think the entire United States is just so unbelievably fucking uneducated on how the United States works, on the history of it, and then you want to take history out of schools, and then and fuck this. This is my favorite thing is Americans love to talk about other countries. And you don't even know what the fuck is going on in your own.
Right. But in order to be a citizen, you got to take one of those citizenship tests. And I can guarantee you the average American would fail. Guarantee you would fail.
Absolutely.
It bothers me when people on the internet are always like, oh, all these uneducated, liberals or Democrats or whatever you want to say, which is hysterical to me because there's been so many times where like, I've said this loudly. I don't consider myself aligned with either political party because I think that the second that you align yourself so heavily with a political party, it takes away your ability to critique them. Yes. It also takes away your ability to, it can put you into a hive mentality. Now, obviously, I'm somebody who has voted on the left very clearly, but I don't consider myself a Democrat because there's a lot of Democrats where I'm like, listen, you're doing lobbying as well. Yeah. You're liars as well. You're cheats as well. You're not fooling me. I'm sorry.
Listen, as someone who comes from a family of politicians, don't look too deep into that. Every politician is a fuck.
Yeah. You got it.
You cannot be like, even if you go into politics
to help people
with the mindset of like, I'm the savior,
you don't come out that way.
Right. At some point, you're going to get fucked in a way that you don't really want to, and then you're going to do the fucking. It just,
right.
It's not, it's a nasty business, and you're going to have to be a little bit nasty in order to get some shit done. I cannot sit here wholeheartedly with critical thinking skills and think or pretend like any politician is a decent fucking human being 24/7.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. They'll have spurts of being decent human beings, but
I
just think what we're seeing right now is
it's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
And it's sad.
I as somebody who, it does prayer and does pray, I think I'm so sick and tired of the Christian nationalism, because any other country in the world, you see people you see a party of people, a group of people praying to one God and talking about how much they love guns and saying that their nation needs to believe in one faith. If they had darker skin and a fabric around their head, you would call them a terrorist group. If you switched out the Bible with the Quran, you would call them a terrorist group. Somebody did a Muslim prayer in Congress the other day. Marjorie Taylor Greene online unloaded her Islamophobia. It's insane to me. I just think it's insane. That's my stiff as war. I just got chills because I'm like, it makes me want to learn more about my faith to see how so many of you got there. And it's from your ignorance. It's from lack of knowledge.
That's what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun fact of the day.
Fun fact of the day.
The fun fact is about me. I have spent 23 years studying 122 different religions. Now, keep in mind, I'm only 25. So just don't do that math. Thank you. But I remember
use your ignorance for good.
Exactly. I've gone to Catholic school my entire life. My mom's Catholic. I was raised a Catholic. I baptized, communion, confirmation. My confirmation name is Anastasia. Like, I've been through it all.
It's a beautiful name.
Thank you. Well, my mom's confirmation name was Anne, so I kind of just picked
cute.
Anastasia. Yeah. Anyways, so I remember being sent to a private school instead of a Catholic school, which most people think is the same thing, and it's not. Mm-hmm. And the Catholic school is funded by the archdiocese, and private is
privately funded.
Yeah. So the way they taught religion was so interesting. Because I was always a history girl. I love history.
Yeah.
And as you learn history, you notice one religion keeps coming up. And as you learn the other religions, that same religion keeps coming up. And they keep coming up because they keep murdering everyone who doesn't believe what they believe.
Right.
And that's what made my brain go, actually, I think I need to learn fuck of a lot more than what they're teaching me in school. Yeah. I used to make like Craigslist ads, and I'd be like, if you're part of this group, can you email me? I want to like ask you questions. And I would just like openly and like as objectively as I possibly could, because I was still very like hardcore Catholic, ask people questions about their faith and stuff. And I think something people don't know or realize about Christianity is the origin of Christianity is Catholicism. Mm-hmm. And then there are 44,999 other denominations born out of ultimately retaliation of Catholicism. But that means there are over 45,000 denominations within Christianity. Mm-hmm. So they're already...
Which is like all different interpretations of what these things mean and say.
Exactly. Yep. So they're already just kind of arguing with each other about their own religion. I can't expect them to know about the other groups too when they don't know their own. So throughout what you were saying earlier, like the more you learn, the more you're kind of like, okay, this like you're questioning things. The more I learned, the more I kind of just got like disgusted.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've always kind of I never really look at people. Same thing with like, when it comes to countries and stuff, I don't look at the citizens. I look at the government.
Right.
And even with like religion, I look more at the institution than its people who are being like, indoctrinated. But there comes a point, particularly in religion, where it's like, I'm looking at the people.
Yeah.
Like right now.
Yeah.
Like right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at...
it's definitely making me, it's, I think from my point of view, in a similar sense to what you're saying, that kind of helped you discover like this trend and this trope. Something for me was, you know, obviously we're New Yorkers. 9/11 was a very big deal for us. My parents worked in both JFK and LaGuardia during 9/11. I remember it extremely vividly. My cousin was in the Twin Towers and wasn't at work that day.
Wow.
So it was a very big deal because, I mean, I'm sure you can attest. Everybody knew somebody, or you knew somebody that knew somebody. You're at a wake.
I could see the smoke. There was a girl in like first grade. Her dad died that day. It was crazy.
It was crazy. And like the banks weren't working, nothing. So that was one of my earliest memories. I was about 5 years old. It was a couple of days into my kindergarten year.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, you don't know what's going on. But I remember it very vividly. There's a point to this story, I promise. But I remember the absolute judgment of Muslims and just the Islamophobia. And I didn't try to understand their faith, or any other faith for that matter. Like for the longest time, I didn't even know that the Jewish faith also, like the Torah, I didn't know that that also was a part of the Old Testament and comes from the Bible in some sense or whatever. Like I didn't know that all of us were connected. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's all these different religions where we're all kind of believing in similar things, different stories from different points of view and having our own interpretations of them. But because of so much vitriol and judgment on other people that weren't our faith, I didn't even look into it. And then when I was talking to older people in my family, I was like, well, the Abrahamic religions and whatever, I was discussing similarities in certain faiths, and people are like, no, I don't think that that's what they pray to. I don't think that that's what they say. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're older than me and you don't know this? And I'm like, that type of ignorance and, dare I say, indoctrination is really what holds control on a lot of people. And it's what I fully believe is happening when there is a hive mentality in this country right now that all believes in a similar faith and believes in one similar person who, by the way, is not Catholic or Christian or Protestant. I don't care what you say. Do not tell me Donald Trump is a man of God. You're a liar and you're ignorant. Don't tell me that. And every single New Yorker that's ever crossed paths with him will tell you, because I have somebody in my family who is a lifelong conservative Republican who will never vote for Donald Trump because he worked with him hand in hand and he knows exactly the type of guy he is. He is not who you think he is.
When I was younger, speak.
Yeah, no, I was just saying watching this hypocrisy in this country right now is terrifying. If you're watching from another country, this is our SOS. Please. I know this is like a very long stiff as a board.
I know,
but
it needs to be said.
It's hard to have like a lighthearted podcast conversation and about, what we're going to talk about, which is about very women empowerment centered, without recognizing that there are mothers and children screaming for each other, being pulled apart and from police, ICE officers in plain clothes. It can make me cry. I just got chills again. It's sick. Okay. Sorry. Continue. What you were saying?
No, you're 100% right. I was saying, I do feel like a lot of New Yorkers have like a Donald Trump story. I certainly do.
Yeah.
Well, as I've said on here before, my mom used to work for Leona Hemsley. Mm-hmm. And so Leona Hemsley was like the real estate queen of New York. Mm-hmm. And we were at the Park Lane, and across the street from the Park Lane, he opened up Trump Plaza. And they would fight. And he'd come over to the Park Lane and fight. And the things this man would say, and mind you, I'm like 3, 4, 5 years old hearing this come out of his mouth. The things I heard him say to Leona, to my mom. Yeah, I'm like, you're actually pretty terrible.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Pretty terrible. So that's our stiff as a board. We needed to say that. I feel better. Do you feel better? I feel better. I feel lighter, dare I say.
I have a million more things to say, so I don't know.
we could do literally just an episode on that, but we don't know if we'd freak you guys out or not.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We'll wait. We'll wait. That. Yeah.
So I think the main topic of, today's episode, and then we'll allow it to organically branch off. We really want to talk about age. We had this amazing conversation over text that I was like, people got to hear this. Women need to hear this. Do you want me to start this off?
Go ahead. Yes. Well, yes, because you started the text. So
okay. So when it comes to age with women, you know what? Let me start with this. This past week, feeling a lot of blockages. This past month, year, I've been feeling a lot of blockages. I've been feeling like everybody's thinking, Diana, you have these followers, and Diana, you have this and you have that. But like things just aren't clicking for me. And I'm losing my sense of navigation of wondering what opportunities to take that are good for me and what aren't. And so when I try to meditate and center myself, I'm like, there has to be blockages within me that I'm struggling to pull out. The other night, I did an exercise and I allowed myself through that exercise to write down like my deepest, darkest, most secretive, almost secret to me, fears that like I won't even let myself acknowledge because it hurts too much. It hurt so much that I was doing this with a candle lit on the side of my bed while my fiance was sleeping next to me, and I thrusted myself into a panic attack. And my fiance obviously woke up and had to console me. He's been through this with me before. I have a panic attack problem, specifically at night. And I had to work through these fears, and something that came up a lot in this list of 13 fears was age. It's not that I won't amount to something or that I have a fear that I won't be successful. A lot of it is I fear I won't be successful in time. I fear that I won't amount to something in time for, before my parents leave this earth. So that I fear, that like they won't be able to see the success, fear that like, I've been working at my career on my own, truly, probably since I was about 14 years old. I was coming into the city from Long Island alone. I was like, I have to take acting classes. I have to take this. Mind you, I had no money to do this. My mom was like, I'll see what I can do. My mom had no money, but she was trying to do it. My dad didn't understand. So he was like, I'm not giving you guys $80 to go to this acting coach. And there's this fear of not being successful in time because you think when you're starting that young, I'm starting at 14. I moved into the city at 18. I'm being reckless and I'm going here and I'm going there and I'm meeting all these people. You think I need to be successful by 22. And when that doesn't happen, and then when the pandemic hits and when you don't have money to make music, now these fears are like, oh my God, am I washed up? Oh my God, am I this? Oh my God, but is there anything to show for myself? Oh my God, but I haven't done the things that I wanted to. And the fear of aging as a woman is a freaking killer. And it can dead your ideas. It deads your confidence. And we had this amazing conversation. And I'll let you touch in on this, but Kat made a great point where she was like, I'm going to butcher this. She had said, we feel this a lot of the time, a fear from age, because when we were 20, we felt like we were 40 because we were light years more mature than other people. So I'll let you explain that point.
So I think for creatives, I've never met someone who was serious about their craft.
Right.
Who decided at like 35, I think I want to be a singer. Right. I think I want to be an actor. I think even if they don't become a singer or actor or whatever till 35 or 40, that passion was still there when they were like 2-3 years old.
Right.
And so I think, and especially when I was growing up, everyone was a teeny bopper pop star at like 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. I auditioned for all that when I was 9. So I'm like, I'm 9 now. I'm going to be 12 tomorrow.
Get to work.
I'm like, it's time to go.
Bubblegum right now. I'm gonna freak out.
I'm like, I got 1 year to make it, like it was just like consuming. And so I think we tend to mature a little bit faster because we know what we want to do in life a lot younger. And I think being a creative in general, you're using so much of your brain because you're kind of, you're inventing things. Like every time you write a song, every time you write a movie, every time you write a book, you're inventing something. You're creating something that wasn't previously there.
Right.
Right. And so it does take a lot of, brain power and heart and energy and time. And I think we're going to run out of that time.
Right.
Because we've had these dreams for so long.
Right.
So it's like, I remember the first time I thought I was getting signed, I was 14.
Right.
And I was like, thank God, because I only have like a year left. You know what I mean?
I'm
like,
literally ancient. Oh my God.
Like I'm dead.
I'm aging out. These young girls coming in, have you seen them?
But now we're in a time where I'm not seeing the teeny boppers a lot. And I actually think that's great.
I think it's amazing.
Because I think back to if I was on all that, and if I did get that career at 14, 15, and I was this naive person, I didn't have a mom who was in entertainment or who was like a stage mom. So I think I would have. And my mom says this all the time. My mom's like, I thank God you didn't go back to the all that casting, because I think I would have had to bury you by the time that you were 12. She's not wrong. I think it's so much pressure on a child, especially because like at that time, it's like you're not even really allowing yourself to be a child. And I did not allow myself to be a child at all. By the time I was 3, I was in ballet. And then by the time I was 5, I was in ballet and tap. And by the time I was 6, I was in ballet, tap, and jazz. Okay.
Right.
And I was playing the guitar. And I was doing horseback riding. Then I started figure skating. Okay. Then I added in the flute and the drums and the piano. And it was just a constant, like,
Right.
I'm working.
I have to learn. I have to learn. I have to do.
I started modeling because I was like, okay, well, I have to like save all this.
Right.
And maybe if I'm modeling, maybe someone will see me. And like, it was just like this. And on top of that, what a weird thing that we have as artists where it's like the need to be seen, but also don't fucking look at me.
Right. Yes.
It is so like when I put my music out, no, I don't want to know that you listened. But
right.
also, I need to know that you listened.
Right. Oh my God. When Dano's family tells me, when they're like,
I hate it.
They're like, I listened to your song. You're amazing. I'm like, ugh.
Right. I'm like, why would you do that? Who told you to do that?
Why did you enjoy my art that I've worked so hard on? How dare you?
In order for you to enjoy.
Actually, you know what? Don't look me in the eye.
No, it's
Don't
very,
look me in the eye.
But I think like we spend those years as a youth doing all of that we end up like I'm working.
Right.
I'm 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm working. So by the time I'm 20, I feel like it's time to retire.
Right. Right.
So, as time goes on, you feel more exhausted and you feel jaded ultimately. And also when you're a kid, you don't care about rejection. But as you get older, you start caring about what people think more. And that rejection, even though a lot of times it's protection, it starts to like, kind of wane on you a little bit more.
Yeah. And
bring you down. Like I've had so many people within the last 2 years ask me like, when are you going to put music out? When are you going to do a show? And da-da-da. And I'm like, bitch, I'm tired.
Right.
I spent so many years trying to do that only to get met with horrible men who only wanted to give me an opportunity if I was willing to exchange.
Right.
Which is why I don't make music anymore.
Right.
And it's like, it's so costly.
Yeah. I think that this is also like, people don't understand how expensive it is to create art. So when people are like, oh, struggling artists are struggling because they don't make money. That's not it.
Yeah.
Artists make money.
Yeah.
Artists make money. But
we
the
just have
reality
big
is,
ideas.
We have big ideas, but also any bit of the money that we make has to go back into the art.
Exactly.
So we don't pocket nothing. It's not that we don't, we're struggling artists because we don't make anything. We're struggling artists because we don't keep anything.
Yeah.
And, that's I mentioned this on another episode. This is why I really also believe like women need to feel more collaborative with other women, because I see men collaborate all the time in exchange for just fucking vibes and a beer. But when we walk in a room, you got to collaborate with you have to exchange with your body. I think for a really long time I had resentment because I felt like that was a loud crack.
Sorry.
It's really loud.
Age.
Age. And on that note, Exhibit A. But I think I had a lot of resentment because I'm like, oh my God, I feel like, I'm 28. I feel uncomfortable telling people I'm 28 because I'm like, I should have been successful at 25. And when I was 25, I said I should have been successful at 24. When I was 24, I said I should have been successful at 22. And the thing that like I try to give myself.
And yet you yell at me all the time about me feeling old.
I know. But I think I think the reason why I feel like that is because I sacrificed so much where I was supposed to have this other life. I got a full scholarship for classical voice. I would have been fine. I would have been taken care of, but I wouldn't have been doing anything that I loved. And I turned down different scholarships, whether it was for sports or vocals or something else, because I was like, I have to find my own way. I have to do this. And then turning down these opportunities that anybody else would be like, why would you turn that down? Now I'm like, okay, but things aren't working. And now I feel like I'm sacrificing and things still aren't clicking. Then all of a sudden I started blowing up on social media. And even now, I've talked to you about this. Even now, I have, for reference, altogether, I have about 600,000 followers across all social media platforms. You look at these other girls, other influencers and content creators with that many amount of followers, they're making millions of dollars a year. It's hard for me to not feel like, where the hell am I going wrong? Where the hell am I going wrong?
I told you what your problem is.
Did you?
Yeah. You're not allowing yourself to receive that. You have
it's a blockage. It's an internal blockage. Yeah. But I think, and now I'll branch it into the other fear that I said over text.
Okay.
This fear of feeling like I'm not getting the opportunities other girls are getting. And that's not to say that they don't deserve them. And that's not me trying to compare who's better. It's me feeling like I'm comparing against myself of like, where internally am I lacking? There's that. There's the feeling like it's expensive to put out music and art and still live and survive. There's the fact that I'm putting together a wedding. And now, I've been living on my own since I was 17, 18 when I didn't need to. Well, I needed to. I was going through a bad time. I had a bad home life. And it just kind of felt like I didn't have any resources, but now I'm getting married and all of a sudden everybody's throwing financial resources at me. I have resentment towards that. Mm-hmm. And now my fiance, who is almost 10 years older than me, handsome bandit, looks like he's 3 years older than me, little son of a gun. He's 37 and he, we're thinking about having kids, and I have this daunting feeling, which is internalized misogyny, I'll admit it, where I'm like, I fear that if I have kids, everything I've worked for will have been for nothing. Everything I've sacrificed for will have been for nothing. Because I know that once I have kids, they're going to be the center of our lives. Yeah. And because my fiance has an extremely successful career that I've watched him grow into, he wasn't successful when I met him. I'm going to feel like everything that I have to do has to go back on the back burner. I will then resent my children. There is no doubt in my mind that I want to be a mother. I've said to everybody who will hear, like, I want to have an army. I want to have 4 kids. I love my man. I want miniature versions of him. Like, I love children. But I know being a mother and having a career, this internalized misogyny makes me really scared. Where I'm like, I've worked my ass off. I've sacrificed my ass off. I've put myself in really crazy positions. And I'm worried there's this fear, like, if I have kids, will I ever get close to what I want to do? Even though there's mothers everywhere that are successful in the position that I aspire and admire being in.
I think the reason why you're thinking that is because you're already a good mom. You're thinking about how much time you want to give to your children.
Yeah.
And how many opportunities you want to be able to provide for your children.
Yeah.
That's why you're feeling that way. And I know that because I always thought that way with myself. Like, I had a very privileged childhood. Adulthood, not so much. But childhood, very privileged. The truth is, talent is a skill perfected over time.
Yeah.
Okay? Anyone can have talent. It's a skill perfected over time. Do you have the resources to perfect that skill?
Right.
And thank God I had a mom who was making a fuck ton of money. And she was able to pay for the dance classes and the instruments and the horseback riding and the this and the that. And there's a little girl out there right now who would play piano better than fucking Mozart, but she doesn't have a mom or dad that can afford to give her piano lessons. So she can't play the fucking piano.
Right.
So like that is something that I know I had, and I want to be able to provide that for my kids.
Right.
And I'm like, if I cannot provide better opportunities than I had, then I'm doing the parenting wrong. And I think you have a similar like internalized, I don't think it's misogyny. I think it's, I want to give my kids everything. And if I haven't accomplished all the things I need to, then I'll only be giving them half of me.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
And I'm not even like sold on the idea of like, oh, it needs to be the perfect time. I feel like I want to be in a position where I have stake in providing for my kids. Like, because I mean, listen, childcare is expensive. And I don't want to only rely on Dano, especially like, I mean, it's like, I guess, yeah, you're right. I am just thinking, I also have a fear, not to jump around. I feel like I'm saying 5,000 words at once and not completing a single sentence. I also have a fear that if I don't achieve what I want, or at least get on like a path that I'm confident in before my children are born, I fear, because I know it will happen, that I'm going to turn into a crazy stage mom. I know it.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
I think I'm going to be like, oh my, because I know where the casting calls are at. I have friends that are casting directors. I have people that work on sets. You need a baby? Take my child.
I just got to tell you guys, going dress shopping with her made me realize I am a fucking stage mom. I was so... why am I the way that I am? Because I don't have a mom who's like that at all. My mom doesn't give a fuck. If I'm like, Mom, I'm going to go like sing on the subway, she'd be like, that's great, sweetie. You're doing amazing. That's wonderful. If I'm like, Mom, I think I want to be a lawyer, she'd be like, that's great, sweetie. So she doesn't give a fuck. But me, I am like, oh, you want to do modeling? Okay. Okay.
Right.
Like, I'm all in.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I get it.
I'm like, because I think that I'm going to try to vicariously live through them. Because I
see where we're going.
Because what you're saying is like, I had the mom who wanted to give me the resources. My parents put me in classes and things.
Yeah.
But you know, there comes a point where I wonder, like, at what point do parents tell children like, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the child says, I want to be a ballerina. I want to be a ballerina. It's like, that's so cute. At what point do you tell them that that's not a real job?
Right.
Because how many times do you see people be like, yeah, but she wants to dance. So you got to start applying for colleges and you should be in business school. You just spent thousands of dollars to put your daughter in dance for the last 10 years and you're going to go tell her to go get a business degree. Right. At what point do you start telling your children that the arts are not a profitable or strong place to be? And
they start in high school.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They start in high school.
I start thinking like, because of how much I've learned, because I didn't have parents that knew the entertainment industry or music industry at all. Same. And they were just learning on their own. They didn't know what to do. That's why I got scammed the first time I got signed. I got signed to a producer the first time and he scammed the shit out of me. He was a crazy person. I now, because of the skills I have, I fear that if I have children and if I didn't achieve the things that I wanted to, that I will vicariously live through them and they will freaking hate me. That's a big fear. And then I'll be like, I never was able to do this or that or this and that. I think, obviously saying it out loud right now, it sounds ridiculous.
No, that's a valid fear.
But because there's a piece of me that's like, look at Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner made her children billionaires, right? But did Kris Jenner do it for her kids or did she do it for herself?
Mm.
And I don't know. I think about these things and these types of fear with age and also performance. You know, I'm like, Celine Dion in her 50s isn't singing the same as she did when she was in her 30s.
Oh, actually, would love to touch on that. When people bring up Mariah Carey, and they like to say things like, she doesn't hit the notes like she used to.
Yeah, but she hit them for 30 years straight.
Not even that. Let's break something down real fucking quick. This right here, everyone, this is a muscle. Mm-hmm. This is a muscle. Do you think Michael Jordan is going to play a basketball at age 60 the way he would at 18?
Right.
Do you think a swimmer is going to swim the same? Or that Serena Williams is going to play tennis the same when no, because things start breaking down.
Right.
Now I know Mariah is like, she's ageless and she's aging like fine wine. That's true. But the truth is she's in her late 50s. And the voice, not only does your voice change over time, but because it's a muscle, it cannot operate the same in your 50s that it could when she was 17, 18, 19, which is when she was hitting all those whistling fucking notes well into her 30s and 40s. And the truth is she can still hit those notes. But the other truth is,
it takes more out of her.
It takes more
effort.
And like, be fucking for real. So if you are not expecting an 18-year-old performance from a 75-year-old athlete, don't expect that from a vocalist.
Right.
Because it's the same thing. That's why we have to do vocal warm-ups. That's why we have to eat certain things and drink certain things. This is a muscle that it's trained over time. You like literally have to train your tongue. You have to train your jaw. It's so much training. And just like any basketball, football player, they do a lot of training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they get older. Yeah. And then they can't play the same. Most of you are not expecting a basketball player to still be playing past 31.
Right. Everyone's like, I wonder if he's in retirement.
Right.
Like,
so it's like, shut the fuck up with about Mariah Carey hitting notes. Shut it up.
Yeah.
That's my rant for the day.
Pat's rant of the day. Yeah, I think, but that's the thing too, when I see successful women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, I think people like Mariah or Christina or people that got discovered really young, I think I look back at that and I'm like, see, I missed it. But then I look at other women like Victoria Monet, who just won her first Grammy at like 35. I look at other people that also if you're not a Nepo baby, you're popping off in your 30s. A lot of the people that are not Nepo babies, they find their success, I'm talking specifically entertainment, they find their success in their 30s and in their 40s. And let's put the microphone to Bruno's nose for a second. Oh.
All right.
My dog is just snoring up a storm. Look at him. Oh.
What you were saying though.
Yeah.
A lot of like big stars, and this is to include Michael Jackson and Beyonce, like they were not poor.
Right. They were not poor.
They were not poor.
Taylor Swift was not poor.
Like
people like Taylor Swift performed in bars. Yeah.
I'll be honest. The only person really that I can look at and that's like a huge A-lister. I'm not saying the only celebrity, but the only one that became a major rock star that I know was fucking poor was Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah.
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 Like, and her mom, like, she couldn't take off work and stuff. So her friend Felicia, who I think became her manager.
Oh, something like that.
She would like go with Britney to New York to like be in these Broadway plays. And then the money Britney was making, her parents were using, like to help pay for things and stuff.
Crazy.
Right. So it's like, it's very rare that that's like a story that we hear. A lot of times it's their parents were already in the industry or knew someone.
Or if they're poor, they either get their start like selling illegal things. Yeah. Or like being a sex worker, which is fine. Yeah. But there are some things that just, because that's how a lot of people, the reality is you need a lot of money very fast. That's what it is.
But even with the money, you still need to know people.
Yeah.
And they got to like you.
Yeah.
They can't just be like,
yeah,
I know so-and-so. Do they like you?
Right. I think my issue with age really stems from a lot of insecurity about money.
Interesting.
A lot of my insecurity with my age stems from it about money because I make more money now than I've ever made.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel, I have less than I've ever had due to just like the cost of things, the debt, all the other things I have to pay for. You know, like I've found a way to, if I need money, I find it, which is great. But I don't want to feel in this feeling of scarcity or like that's a privilege to be able to know where to find money if I need it. But and like make money when I need it, but I don't want to feel like I have to be in this scared feeling of, okay, I feel a little, it's a scared feeling.
Yeah.
And I grew up in that. And I think it's hard for me to step away from that. There's a fear of success in there.
I have a major fear of success.
It sounds so crazy.
That's my biggest fear is success.
It's crazy because when I was younger, I was like, people who say they have a fear of success, you sound like an elitist idiot. Like, oh, you have a fear of success? Like, you have a fear of success. But I get it because it's not only the fear of success, it's the fear of getting it and losing it, getting it and tarnishing it. I even wrote down, I have a fear of being canceled. I have a fear of being canceled. I'm on the internet. The internet's a crazy place. I've seen how people treat people on the internet, and I objectively, as somebody who creates content, is like, oh, these people are insane. They're gang piling on people because it's fun and it's entertainment, not because they truly think it.
Also, what Gen Z in particular loves to do is they love to find the underdog, build them up, put them on a pedestal, and then knock them the fuck down.
You changed. Yeah, obviously. When I have money, when I'm rich as hell, you think we're going to be recording in this room? No, babe, I'm going to change to align with my new goals that are higher than my previous ones. Yeah. You better believe I'm going to change.
What's happening here?
What? Oh, my singular nail. It looks like I have a drug problem. When somebody has one singular nail like this.
Only if it's on the pinky.
Yeah, but if you got it on the thumb, that means you got. That means you're seasoned.
That's iconic.
I couldn't get it off.
We should make that the new style. I saw that Diana only had one nail,
so I started wearing one nail. Hey, I just couldn't get it off.
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my fear on age. But I do have to say, like, every single time I see other women that find their success in later ages, it's given me so much peace and confidence and understanding. And it's made me feel like I'm looking forward to it. Like for the longest time, even now I'm like, oh my God, did I even live up my 20s to the fullest? I was a psychopath. I was crazy. Why would I want to do more of that? No, I'm done.
Actually.
And also I want to be able to go clubbing in my 30s and have money. Because all throughout my 20s, when I was going to clubs, I was next to these sleazy promoters and they were like, yeah. And I was like, great, give me the Patron right now. Don't look at me in the eye. You have to go there. You have to act like you're into them. And then you get free food and stuff. That's how you go to clubs in New York. And you go to all the hottest clubs because you know a promoter.
Yep.
I want to walk into a club and say, oh, that's my table. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. I'm getting to a point where I'm excited for my 30s. All my friends are in their 30s. I'm the youngest out of all my friends. I'm the youngest out of all my family. Like
you always need friends younger and older.
Oh yeah.
And that's something when I was in my early 20s. Relax. Everybody relax. When I was in my early 20s, like I think it would have been very important for me to have friends older than me. I was like rummaging through my 20s basically by myself with my mom telling me how great the 80s and 90s were. And I'm like, huh? Like, I don't want advice from my mom. My mom had to, love my mom to death, but not when you're 20. You know what I mean?
Right.
She did have to force me to go out. And I wanted to bring that up when we were talking about being so serious in our career.
Oh.
I was so serious. And my mom was like, go out, get the fuck out of my house, have a drink, call me at 3 a.m. drunk as fuck for me to come pick you up. She's like, this is insane.
Right.
I was in 3 colleges. I had 3 jobs. I don't even know how I did that because now, after this, I need a nap. I don't know how I did it, but my mom was like, go out. Because my friends would be like, do you want to come out? And I'd be like, no, guys, I have to work. I'm about to be a fucking pop star. Like, be for real. I need to work on my skills. I have a job. I have to save. I have school. I have this. Da, 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 da.
You know what, too? Like, it's so funny because when I was in my 20s, I was going out so much.
You are in your 20s.
Right, I am in my 20s. But I mean like young. You know what I'm referring to? My late teens. When I said my 20s, I'm thinking in my late teens right now. Because I feel like I lived my 20s before I turned 21, for sure. I've been drinking since I was 13. So I think like I was going out so much. This also has to do with the people I was hanging out with. I was going out so much and so often because I was like, I have to go out and network. I have to find people to work with. I have to do this. And you start thinking that your job, because everybody's like, it's who you know, which is true.
Yeah.
But it's who you know, but it's also what you have and what you do. So like
you have to be prepared.
Yeah. So this was something that I told one of my old friends who we refer to as Serena Joy on this podcast.
Oh, yes, okay.
Because she also wanted to be a singer. And I was like, I have so many things that's going to save you so much time. And I told her, I was like, you can go out and network, but if you don't have something physical to show them, like if you don't have a song to be like, this is what I sound like, they don't give a shit. I went out and I met so many people. I was in rooms with so much money. And you know, if you don't have something to be like, I'm going to email you right now, my work, even if they don't listen to it, they respect that you have something because then they take you seriously. But if you go in and you're like, well, I'm working on stuff, they're like, okay.
That was my biggest issue.
And I wasted so much time because I was going out to the hottest places and the hottest clubs with the coolest people and people that were on all the blogs and vlogs. And let me tell you something, when you do that and you don't have something to show for it, you're a socialite, babe.
Yeah.
You're an artist in secret.
I was a socialite.
Yeah.
I was a socialite. I remember I had, what was it? I was hanging out with this one girl and I remember she had 3 million views on MySpace and I had 1.8 million. Okay. Like we were besties and everybody knew who she was and everybody knew who I was. And I was just popular.
Mm-hmm. And but then you're like, but I have things.
And people would be like, I think she sings.
Right.
But never heard anything.
Right.
And the girl I was hanging out with, she would always hype me up. She'd always, mind you, she never heard me sing. She'd be like, this is my best friend, Kat. She's fucking incredible. She has like the best voice ever. I'd be like, do you know you're lying right now?
But do you know that you just lied to these people?
But okay, fine. But then she tried to connect me and they'd be like, send me stuff. And I'd be like, for sure. I have nothing to say.
Right. I think also I did that though because I didn't have any money. So I was waiting for somebody to take a chance on me.
Same.
That was like a big deal. Like I would go up and I'd be like, no, but I can sing. There was this one time, this fashion designer, I was being managed by this guy, horrible human being. Horrible. I wish the worst on you. I do. I wish the worst on you. He brought me and networked me with this fashion designer who was an awesome guy. And I was like, I was like, maybe this guy isn't that bad because this guy's one of his friends, which just goes to show that who you know and who you hang out with is part of your personality.
Birds of a feather. Don't hang out with yacht girls. Note to self.
So I go into this fashion designer's like design room and the guy's great. He's awesome. So because and I still talk to this guy every once in a while.
Oh, wow.
But because this guy who was managing me knew him, I was like, okay, cool. I didn't have anything to show for myself, but they asked me, they're like, sing. There's a bunch of these men in the music industry in this fashion design house. And I start singing and they were like, you're incredible. You're this, you're that. And I'm like thinking like, I was nervous, but I'm in this room, just this one little girl in this room with all these like men hanging out. I don't know what any of them do. I don't know. I'm like really lost and scared. And like, I'm doing my best to network, but I'm mostly trying to find like money and like trying to find resources, people that are just going to be like, come to my studio and record for 8 hours for free because we believe in you. But the only time that would ever happen was like if somebody either wanted to mess with me, number one, or number two, if it was in like deep Brooklyn, deep, so deep, beyond deep Brooklyn, deep Queens. I got myself involved in some sort of Jamaican mob. It was a long thing. It was a weird thing. Yeah. I've lived 5,000 lives.
The lore on us
is
actually
crazy.
insane.
Not only was I involved in some sort of Jamaican mob situation, but
Right.
I was also, they were developing a Jamaican game show and they wanted me to be like the Vanna White.
Okay.
And we would rehearse the game show in
No
somebody's
way.
living room.
That's fucking amazing.
It was, and I'm dancing around this living room in Queens. And then they had like this, they also, oh my God, wait, so they developed this,
the memory.
this makeup line too. And they're like,
Okay.
Diana, we want you to promote this makeup line.
Okay.
And it was this guy's wife who had created it. I don't care that I'm going on a tangent right now. You need to hear this. Do you want to know what the name of the makeup line was?
I want to know.
First of all, it was a knockoff like Christian Louboutin makeup or something. One of the
Okay.
fancy like lipstick
Okay.
tubes.
Okay.
It was like a knockoff. The name of the makeup line. Oh, I feel like if I say this, I'm going to get in trouble.
We'll bleep it.
We'll bleep it. Okay. Was the name of the makeup line.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a pretty name.
Mm.
And then I was,
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird time.
Maybe she didn't know the meaning of the word.
I think they knew. And all of a sudden, I'm holding these lipsticks. They put all these chains.
You did a whole photo shoot?
No, they like have
Please.
pictures of me. Like it's the craziest photos. If these ever
I
come
need
out,
these.
this is the explanation. I was so uncomfortable. I was like, I don't think that they want to make my music. I'm standing there
Oh my
and I got
God.
like hands of like lipsticks in my hand and I have this, they put this ginormous gold chain on me with a big logo. I have this sports bra on and these like little leggings. I looked like a yacht girl. Just this like curvaceous.
This
like,
is kind of iconic, though.
and then
I love this story, low-key.
it
I
was insane. And then they kind of like, they stalked me. They still stalk me.
Oh. Hey, guys.
Because they'll call me every once in a while. Like I've blocked them and
What?
I have no idea. They're like, hey, you kind of ghosted me. But I just wanted to check in and say, like, I have an opportunity for you. I was like, no opportunities, please.
No, thank you.
It was a wild time in my life. I don't even know how we got to this conversation.
Me neither. But we're here now.
networking.
Oh, yeah.
Not all networking is good networking. That's the point.
That's fact.
And I feel like I wasted a lot of time doing bad networking, which then in turn made it difficult for me to make work and make music. But then when I was working on my craft and working on my performance, I wasn't networking. And it was hard to find that balance. And that made me insecure about my age. Thank you.
Well, you know,
Just tied this all together.
networking is kind of... So it took me a while to work with Caleb.
Her husband,
Because
mind you, they're married.
here's the thing. I didn't know if he was talented. I was like, oh, you produce? Okay, whatever.
She didn't know he was talented.
I was like, everyone produces. Whatever. I was like, fine.
I'm not even we won't even tell you guys Caleb's last name.
Like,
You Google Caleb, you're going to laugh.
And so I was going through some shit with some other producers, and he was like, well, why don't you just like, record with me? And I was like, ugh, God, this amateur, I guess.
Fine, buddy. I'll give you a
Fine.
chance. Let me give you a shot for your career real quick.
So we go
Dead.
to record. Well, I go to like listen to a couple of his beats, and I was like,
He's amazing.
he's really fucking good. I was like, holy shit, he's really good. But I didn't want to tell him. So I was like, these are cool. Whatever.
We don't want to compliment a man.
Obviously. And then, he ended up getting a whole like studio, and then we started like making music together, like from scratch, and way better than what I was making prior.
Mm.
And but I wasn't going to like work with him ever. I also had in the back of my mind, that like working with friends or working with your spouse or boyfriend, whoever,
lead to
would be an issue. I mean, I spent a lot of my time watching Behind the Music on VH1. Yeah. So I was like, clearly this is the problem.
Clearly this doesn't work.
Right. But what I have noticed, well, with me and him, more than anything else, like even if we don't actually work as like a couple, business partners, we work very well together. Mm-hmm. Like there was a time where we were broken up and we would still work together and no one knew that we were broken up. And then we also wouldn't tell people that we were a couple. People would just kind of figure it out, of course.
Right.
Whatever. But yeah, I just always thought that like you can't work with friends, you can't work with family. And it's like, no, you can't work with people who have no fucking communication skills. Right. That's really what it is.
Right.
And we've talked about this with me and you. Because I'm like, I feel safe because I know that, you know, you're going to call me out on my shit and I'm going to call you out and we can have those conversations and it won't be an argument. It's going to be a conversation.
Right.
And we can work through it. And that's like the thing with Caleb is we don't argue, toy. But we don't argue because finally, thanks to me, he's learned to communicate. I don't know if it's just a man thing or just a him thing or just, I don't know. But they tend to not be very good in communication skills. But we communicate. We don't fight. It's just like, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. Cool. What's the solution? The solution is right now, I don't want to fucking talk to you. Okay?
Right. Well, give me a couple hours and we'll come back.
But yeah, it started out with me not wanting to work with him because I didn't know that he was so incredible. Yeah.
Dang. And what about right now? Missing.
I feel like you're being very nosy. You're prying into my private life.
Right now.
You're asking a lot of questions.
I am up Kat's ass when it comes to her music.
I didn't schedule an interview today. This is not what we're here for. We'll figure out my music later on.
Me and Kat have this one song sitting in a vault that I feel like...
I know what you're talking about, yes.
I feel like you guys would really like, especially...
Did you record it?
Yeah, we recorded it.
Oh. Listen. Age. We talked about this earlier.
Age. Yeah, that'll come out one day. I feel like we do need to make like a song
for this.
For this.
Yeah, I thought about it
Be
recently.
a great idea.
Yeah.
Be a great idea.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, the moral of the story, your age does not define you or us really as women.
Also, Forbes magazine said that most successful people become successful after age 40 or 50.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Well, I don't want to wait that long, though. Damn.
No. But, well, I got about a week left. So.
But if you feel you have like your fear of age and it's a deep fear of not amounting to something in time, fear of not getting someplace in time, fear like you missed an opportunity, I urge you.
If it was for you, you didn't miss it. I just want to say that.
Right. No, 100%. Like you don't miss anything that's not. You don't miss anything that's completely for you. There's so many opportunities that I felt like I missed, but then just like what you said earlier in the podcast, I look back at...
And it's like, thank God.
Thank God I missed that opportunity. Yeah. Thank God that I wasn't where I wanted to be at 23 or 24.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank you so much, the universe, for looking out for me because I would not be in a good position.
Yeah.
I'd be a different person. So just know that your time... As long as you're working towards what you want, because that's another additive thing, you can't sit around and feel sorry for yourself. Your opportunities come to you when you also put in the work in the right direction. I know my success is inevitable. I know our success is inevitable, but the age thing sucks. I know it. I get it. But it does not define whether or not you're successful or not.
Very true.
So,
very true.
I hope this has helped some of us gain clarity.
For sure.
Help me gain a little bit of clarity. Anything else that we want to add?
Actually, yes. And this is something someone said to me recently when they were trying to convince me to make music again. And they said, don't be selfish. And I said, go fuck yourself. And she was like, your talent is to be shared.
Yes.
And she said, what if there was no Michael Jackson, then we wouldn't have all the people that came after, etc., etc. She was like, I'm not saying that that's, your goal or what you're going to be, but what if your only role is to make it far enough to inspire someone else?
Mm. Mm.
What if, your music's, job is to, do this or that or help people, etc., which, I've had people reach out, about like past songs, like helping them, and it was sweet to see. And it was people I didn't know sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I thought about those moments when she said that, and that's the thing about art is it's not about you and it's bigger than you. And honestly, that's everything. We could talk about, Jeff Bezos making Amazon. We could talk about Walt Disney. I actually was having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. I was like, there's a movie about him. I think it's called Before Walt or something. And I watched it and I remember thinking like, bro, if I was Walt Disney's friend, I would have been like, bro, give it up.
Right.
Give it the fuck up. Find a real fucking job. This shit it's not gonna fucking happen.
It's not it for you.
Like the amount of failures this man was just failing continually. But if you think about it, if Walt Disney had quit movies, cartoons, the entertainment industry, as well as theme parks would be completely
different,
and probably some things wouldn't exist if not for him just not quitting. And by the way, the men who quit on him because he couldn't pay them anymore. When Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse became these icon statuses, the friends of his who were working for him who had quit ended up creating Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. But guess what? We don't know their fucking names.
Oh, that's tea.
I mean, I do know their names, but
I don't.
But my point is they're not.
I represent the normal person. Kat represents the person that is like needs Googling everything. She needs to. She is the encyclopedia.
So, yeah, and I also remember reading that they tried to go back and work for him and everything, and he was like, I'll say hi to you. You can come to Disneyland and pay for a ticket and I'll say hi to you, but no. I don't want to be your friend and you're not going to work with me, etc. But yeah, it's just really a lesson in giving up and why you shouldn't. And I know my subconscious mind is like, listen to yourself. Fuck you. Self. But you don't know what you're going to do that's going to change the world. Your dreams, sometimes you just have a little dream. You just want to sing. You just want to dance. You just want to act. You just want to write. But you do not know the impact that is going to have and the way it's going to change the world.
Right.
Change how people think. Change how we do things. Snow White is such an important film because there was never anything like that.
Right.
Like the amount, like the lighting, they had to create, certain types of lighting. And I mean, it's a whole thing, and it was his first movie.
Right.
In the 30s. It's such an important film in regard to the film industry, cartoons, voiceovers, etc. So, just know that your dreams are bigger than you.
Right.
And like my friend told me, I will tell everybody else, and I'll repeat to myself, don't be selfish. Don't keep your art from us because it's not about you.
And on that note,
thank
you guys so much for listening.
We love you.
We love you. Make sure you guys like, share, follow, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for following us on Instagram and TikTok as well. We see you. We love you. And we will see you next time. This has been the Slumber Party
Podcast.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.